Hello, dear brothers and sisters in Christ. I wanted to take this opportunity to address a little something that's come up lately and has the potential to create some scandal in our community. And I thought it best not to address this at mass because of the nature of it. I didn't think that it would be good to say this in front of the children. And it regards marriage. Okay, specifically the definition of marriage and what that entails. Now, marriage is more than just a man and a woman who love each other, or two people who simply just love each other very much. I know that's how we maybe talk to children about it, okay, but we need to be adults about this. Okay, marriage is about the sexual act that could potentially lead to children. Without that, you don't have a marriage. You have maybe a friendship. You have, I don't know, some other human relationship with another person, but you don't have marriage. It's for this reason that we don't allow children to get married. We don't allow men to get married to other men. We don't allow women to get married to other women. It's about the act that could potentially lead to having children, to bearing children. It's not about the pleasurable aspects of that act. It's about the fruitfulness of that act. Okay. Now, infertile couples aside, okay, we can deal with that at another time. Okay. The idea is the act is ordered towards the bearing of children. When that act is attempted by people of the same sex, that isn't sexual intercourse. It simply is what we would really refer to that as masturbation of each other, or by its more proper name, sodomy, which is one of the sins the Bible says cries out to heaven. It is a grave, grave sin. Now, we also have another tendency in this country to say, well, we shouldn't judge each other. And that's like the highest virtue, is not judging somebody. But why don't we judge people? Well, we could say, well, Jesus told us not to judge others. Yeah, Jesus did tell us, judge not lest you be judged. Okay? But it doesn't make sense to say that we're not going to judge anything, or that we should abolish all judgments whatsoever. So I think Jesus would have agreed that the society needs judges in order to hold together. In our country, and in all countries that I'm aware of, there's some kind of a judicial system. There are judges in place to settle disputes, not only civil but also criminal. It would be ridiculous for someone who is on trial, or who is before the judge, and right before he issues his sentence, to shout back at the judge, well, who are you to judge me? Well, he's the judge, so he can judge. Okay, we have judgments in our society. When someone does something wrong, we judge them guilty of the wrongdoing. What Jesus warns us about is to not judge one another's soul. We don't know what the state of someone's soul is. We don't know whether they're going to hell. We don't know whether they're going to heaven. We can't say that. We are not the judge of them in that sense. But we can judge wrong actions. And sometimes people make mistakes. If your children make a mistake at home, they do something wrong, and they did it on purpose, okay? Or even if they didn't do it on purpose, there would be a judgment of that action, and there would be a corresponding punishment. If they didn't know it was wrong, they would get a lighter punishment. And if they did know it was wrong, they'd get a more severe punishment. You judge their actions all the time, and you correct them when they do wrong things. And so it's okay for us to do that with adults too. When adults make bad decisions, we judge those decisions and say, you've done a bad thing. I don't hate you. I don't want to ostracize you and kick you out of the family, but you've done an objectively bad thing. It's not going to make you happy. I want your happiness and I love you, and therefore I'm telling you this is bad for you and it won't make you happy. When two men decide to have a ceremony in which they call marriage, which is not marriage, or two women, or who knows what's coming next. Please God that we don't have people trying to marry children or animals or inanimate objects, or I don't know what's coming next. But the way things are going, it would nothing would surprise me. The thing that they've chosen to do is the thing we judge. We don't judge the person's soul. We don't judge them for having an attraction that is beyond their control. I think we know by now that people who experience same-sex attraction don't choose that any more than a heterosexual person chooses to be attracted to someone of the opposite sex. So we don't judge them for that. And those things are beyond their control. What we do judge them, what we do judge is the actions that those persons take, including having ceremonies to which they commit themselves to one another. Now, as Catholics, we cannot support that. We cannot attend these ceremonies because we're lending legitimacy to a lie. We're saying, yes, that is a marriage when we go to those ceremonies and participate in them, when we celebrate with them and have a party with them. That's what we're saying. And in this day and age, when you go to a wedding or a real wedding, there are always going to be pictures, and those pictures are going to end up on the internet, aren't they? And so everyone will know that you were there. And this is the scandal that has the potential to harm our community, because when we go to these things and we support even our own sons and daughters and our relatives by going to these ceremonies, then we lend credibility to something that is objectively wrong and objectively evil. The movement that caused the Supreme Court to legalize or redefine or attempt to redefine marriage, that movement used to say that, well, this isn't going to affect you heterosexuals. It's not going to affect you. Just let them love whoever they want to love. It's not going to affect you, but it does affect me, and it affects you. There are people. These are people who I've never met before, and yet I'm having to talk to you about this. Their decisions have affected us. They have hurt us, and I don't. I don't want us to keep repeating the lies that we hear in the media day in and day out. Love is love. Let them love who they want to be. Who is it? Who are you to judge? We hear these things so much that we repeat them as if they were our own scriptures, but that's not Christian and that's not true. Love is love. It's really insidious, this phrase, because in philosophy we would call this the identity property, or it would violate the principle of non-contradiction to refute that love is love. Of course, love is love, but we can't. The purpose behind that statement is not just to say something as simple as A equals A or 2 equals 2. Of course, it does. No, the purpose is that they can latch their own meaning onto the word love and say that that is equal to the Christian understanding of love. But it says, as I have said before many times in homilies, love is to do the best for somebody else regardless of what it costs you. And we should always desire, and we do desire, happiness for those around us, for our neighbors, for our family members, and for ourselves as well. We desire happiness. Well, what is happiness? Well, happiness consists in reaching our flourishing, our goal as human beings. When we are as excellent as we possibly could be, when we reach our full potential as human persons, the persons we were created by God to be, then we flourish, then we are holy, then we achieve our end and we are happy. Happiness is something we seek for its own sake, not for something else. So when we look at our lives and where our lives are heading, it's about not just a momentary joy or a momentary pleasure. That's not happiness. Happiness is being holy. Happiness is being an excellent human being, being a saint. That is happiness. Jesus challenges us on this because the world tells us that the rich are happy, those who have plenty of pleasures are happy. Those, I don't have to repeat all of it. You know what the world tells you will make you happy. But Jesus tells us blessed or happy are the poor in spirit. Blessed are those who grieve. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because some injustice has been done to them, presumably. Blessed are those who mourn. That isn't what the world is telling us. Jesus is telling us that happiness is rather something else. Brothers and sisters, please don't support ceremonies that purportedly marry two men or two women. When you attend these, you tacitly support them. It is not the way to love your brother, son, daughter, aunt by showing up to their ceremony. That's not what is going to be best for them. Okay, when you show up, you say, I support what's happening here. If it was someone in my family, this is what I would say to the person. I love you very much. And because I love you, I want what's best for you. And I want what will make you ultimately happy. I don't judge you. I can't judge you. Only Jesus can judge you. But I think you're making a mistake. I think that this is not going to make you happy, this ceremony you're about to go through with. I hope that you can have many friends. I hope that despite the attractions you're experiencing, that you can be friends with some people, and even this person in particular. I would have no problem if you just wanted to be friends with this person. But the sexual act done with another person to whom you are not married and to whom it is impossible to be married is a sin. It is going to make you unhappy. It will leave you unsatisfied. God alone ultimately satisfies us. And this relationship that you're pursuing will not make you happy. And so for that reason, because I want you to be happy, I'm not going to support this decision you're making. And I'm not going to be part of the ceremony. And I'm not going to attend. The person, depending on who he or she is, may not respond well to even what I've just said. They will probably be angry because for a long time they have been fed the lie that happiness consists in me being able to do whatever I want, especially with my body. That isn't the case. Love, as I've said before, is ordered towards the other person, doing what's best for them. When we when our family members or friends decide to have a marriage like ceremony with someone of the same sex, they they corrupt and twist what marriage actually is, and they're not thinking of others. They're thinking only of themselves. If they were thinking of you and loving you and doing what's best for you, they wouldn't put you in the awkward position of having to decide whether to attend this ceremony or not. They're only thinking of themselves. And it's the selfishness that is opposed to love. Love is about the other. So, this hasn't been easy to talk about, but I will end it here. There's probably much more to say, but I'll end it here and say, brothers and sisters, I love you, and that's why I'm doing the hard thing and telling you uh, what we may not do as Catholics. We can't support these ceremonies. We can't go to these ceremonies. And when pictures are taken and posted online, it scandalizes the rest of us. Marriage is worth defending. Marriage is worth fighting for. Your marriage, your parents' marriage, your kids' marriage, and the institution of marriage in general. It is about having the conjugal act, sex, at the center of the definition of marriage. Without that, it's not marriage. It's just a friendship or some other relationship. So we gotta teach our kids in an appropriate time what marriage is. The government's not going to do it for you. The internet certainly will not do it for you. So please teach your kids what is essential to marriage. God bless you, and I'm with you. Please pray for me too.